Oh, okay. Uh, Discussion review about Agatha all along. Episode 8 and 9, the series finale. Let's dive through it. I'll go on a very high level because you have to watch it because it's just. We'll get to it. We'll get to my opinions, but first, the episode 8. We start off with Alice, who is obviously, she did. Yeah, she's like, she's dead. Rio comes to claim her soul. They go through the portal. Pretty much an introduction to how Rio does it. A body is dead. She lures them, be like, your time has come. And then she yoinks their ass. Then comes Agatha. Then we cut to Agatha, who's come outside of the trial after the last episode, and she's like, And then comes Rio. Her and Rio have like the tension is real. They're really, I can't describe it. They're really like, I can't describe it. There's like a lot of tension between them, and Rio reveals that Rio has been looking for Billy this entire time, and Agatha's been distracting him this entire time. She's been distracting him this entire time. And Agatha's like, no shit. Because what he wants at the end of the road is another body. And she can't stop him because Billy is so powerful that he will just reincarnate. She kills him, incarnate. She kills him, he'll reincarnate again. He has to give himself up. Otherwise, she can't stop him. And then stop him from finding Tommy. So what then happens is Billy and Jen are like moaning, they're crying, they're like, oh my god, Lilia. And that happens. And then Agatha does her quintessential blackmail emotional bullshit where she's like, oh, like, if you, like, I'll give him to you, I'll have him turn himself in willingly. And you leave me alone. Leave me alone. We'll get to the whole Nicholas Crash thing. They explain what exactly happened. So from there, okay. I wrote in post-it notes. So from there, Jen and Teen, well, I should say, I can say it now, Billy Maximoff, come outside the road. They're like on the road. They're talking with Agatha, and they're like, I don't trust you on to the last trial, yada, yada, yada. And it's like a full circle. They've reached a full circle, and they're back where they took their shoes off in the first episode. Well, second episode. And then they're like, oh, like, this trial, like, screw this shit. I was respectful to the trial. And, like, what? It's a full circle to put their shoes on. They're in their final trial. And it's this giant, like, circular light thing. And this, like, it's like almost like a morgatorium, where they keep the dead people. It's something like that, where it's like the body bags come out, they're in them, they get up, they're like, and here's what happened. So that happens, and then they're there, and then the timer starts going down. And it's very similar to Agatha's basement. Somehow they're in Agatha's basement, but it's not really her basement. Something's aloof, right? It's not her basement, but the layout's exactly like her basement. And if you paid attention, the walls are like a hex. That is very important. The walls are like a hex. Anywho, they do that, and they're trying to find a way out, and then they realize Jen and Agatha are talking, and she's talking about like, oh my god, like this should happen to me, I'm binded. And then they both realize that it was Agatha who bound Jen. Agatha bound Jen. She didn't know. Pretty much they were like, we're gonna pay you good money if you can bound this witch. And Agatha's like, give me the money, I'll do it for you. I got you, homies. And she went bloop. And then so she then rips out Agatha's hair and she does an unbinding ritual, and then she gets booted off the road. She just like disappears. She has this moment, she's crying, she's like, oh my god. And she has this like pink magic, which honestly looks so good. And her ass gets booted out. Then Billy's like, oh my god, what happened? Then Agatha reveals, she's like, she got what she wanted in the road, and now she's out. She got out. She got donezo. Got tizzo. Bye. So there's a big reveal that I'm trying not to save it right, tell myself right now, but anyway, she gets a trial, she gets unbound, she gets booted. We don't know what happens to her until the very end, but we won't linger on that too long. Then it's up to Billy and Agatha. So here, Agatha's like, so she knows that, what's her face? Rio wants the kid to turn himself in because she doesn't want him to find Billy because it's against the rules. But she can't do anything about it because Billy's just that powerful. So, Agatha betrays Rio, which thank God, and she's like, you know what? Let's find Tommy. And she sort of grabs his head. She's sort of like guiding him mentally, because he doesn't exactly know how to use his powers just quite yet. So she's mentally holding onto his head, right? And they're like, and he diverts Tommy's soul. Oh, also, it's revealed that Billy, because he can control magic, he was able to take over another body that was dying. Tommy, on the other hand, does not. His soul is in this limbo state because it's not real. Since it's not real, death can't take him. So Billy, using his magic, telepathy, mental magic, somehow manages to take his soul into another dying body. What they reveal is there's this kid about a prank that's going wrong, and this kid is drowning. And that's where Tommy's soul goes. We don't know who this kid is. We don't know what's happening with it. We'll get to that part later. But anywho, so that's that. So then Billy's gone. Billy's off the road, and it's like, oh my god, like, what's happening? Billy's gone, and now it's just Agatha. And it's the Earth trial. Again, some stuff happens. Agatha's locket, it has this, like, bead thing. It falls into this crack that's formed. Some life forms, the door opens, and she bolts out of there, and she's out. Then we get to Agatha's out of her house, and Rio's just on the roof. He's like, hey, I'm here to get your ass. Because, again, pretty much, the deal they made was he would have to turn himself in. He did not. So Agatha's like, bro, what the heck? And Rio and her start fighting. Agatha doesn't have any magic at this point. So she's like, bro, I'm like mad weak, bro. It's like, bro, I'm like mad weak, bro. Like, I don't know what to do. And first thing she does is she shatters all the glass. And Rio's like, I'm gonna kill your ass. So Agatha gets cut all over. Then she calls her a coward and remembers, when she calls you a coward, hit the deck. She ducks. Boom goes like a dish soap. Not dish soap, like a sink. And she survives that. They get into a fight. And she's like, she uses her earth magic to like bind up. Like, she's like tied to a pole. Kind of like a stripper. She's tied to a pole. And as Rio's about to like shank her ass, guess who comes and saves her? Billy. Billy, in his like pseudo comics accurate suit, comes in and like not even blasts with magic, just like telepathically pushes death aside and pushes her aside. Agatha comes up, he frees her, and then she's like, hey, yo, this part was a little anticlimactic, I'm not gonna lie. But so some shit happens, and Agatha's like, hey, listen. He's like, okay, I'm going to give you some of my magic. Don't take it all. Remember how she said, oh my god, I can't control it. She can. At least, I don't remember correctly. But again, so she steals some of he gives some of her magic to her. She stops before it kills him. we'll talk about teen Billy. Rio comes, they have this like smash off, face off, and Billy's pushed to the side. He comes back, they're fighting again, and Agatha's like, listen, Death, take him. Do what you want. I'm done. And she walks away, and he telepathically says to her, is this how Nicholas died? And she's like, excuse me? So then what she does is as Rio is about to do some weird ass shit, he's just like, oh my god, like, oh my god. Agatha runs up to her, grabs Rio, spins her, and kisses her. The Lesbos won. They kiss, and then she dies because she is death. So anybody who kisses her will die, like kiss of death. Agatha dies. Her body comes shrooms, like her body falls to the ground. It decays, and there's this like nature, sort of like how would you describe it? Like plants and stuff, like this really pretty plants pop out of the ground, and they're like all over wherever her dead body was in the ground. So then Teen runs off. He goes to his car. He goes home, and he's sort of just like sitting there, and it's like, yo, this bitch, like, she died. And then he's in his house. He goes back to his room, and he sees that, all of this stuff seems very familiar. Everything on the trial is somehow related to his room. Lorna Wu, the first mansion house they go to, literally the Witch's Road, the color of the leaves on the Witch's Road, the posters in his room represent different trials, and he's like, what the, right? And then there's this ominous voice, and that's the end of episode 8. Now we're on to episode 9. Episode 9 starts off with Agatha's backstory, which is very important because it leads into what exactly happens in this episode. So, oh my god, I gotta adjust myself really quickly. So I'm doing. Okay. He has this like realization, like, oh my god, he has this realization where it's like, oh my god, like, this is, my room is really similar to the Witch's Road. And then he has this realization that, not realization, and then some voice comes. It's episode 9. So episode 9 starts off with Agatha, who is very pregnant. She's walking around with a belly, her child is in there. Okay? Her child is in there. And Death comes. Because again, Death knows when Death is going to come, obviously. So she knows that this child's gonna go, I'm gonna have to come collect. And at this time, Rio and Death are lovers. There's a point where we sort of explain why and how they meet. But anywho, she's like, give me time. You can't do this. If you take him, I'll hate you forever. And Death's like, I'll give you some time. So she gives birth to her child, and like she births him. She's like, oh my god, I love you. Oh my god, sweet baby, sweet child. Oh my god, baby. And what happens is she's walking around in the forest, and this witch comes up to her speaking in Italian, and she's like, oh, like, you can join us. This is my coven. And she kills him. She steals her magic by making them attack her. And while that's happening, baby Nicholas is just like, he's an infant, right? So they have a time lapse. I didn't know this, but apparently he grew up to be like a child, almost young teen, sort of like, I guess he's like maybe 10, like 9 to like 13, anywhere between that range, in the old ass era. And so they're in this town, and she sort of has, she has her son, Nicholas, So they're living comfortably, right? And he does something to sort of piss off some women because he messed with their children. He runs in, he's like, oh my god, mom, they're after me. And Agatha does her usual shit. She like manipulates their ass off and they blast her and she's like, ugh, ugh. And she steals her magic. And that's a cycle that she continues to do. So anytime someone comes, fights her, she steals her magic. And it becomes a cycle. And during this time, what's his face? Nicholas comes up with a song saying, down, down, down the road, down the windy road. And he comes up with this song. And Agatha's like, huh, this kind of catchy. And then they go to this in the forest because obviously she killed them. They're on the run, and they're on this grass path, and they're sleeping. And while they're sleeping, her son Nicholas wakes up again. He's a child. He doesn't know any better, right? He wakes up, and there is Rio. There's Death, and she's like, hey, like, come with me, kiss your mom goodbye, come with me. And then she takes him. And Agatha wakes up, her son is dead, and she's like, oh my god. Obviously, she's distraught. That's what actually happened. She didn't sacrifice her son for the Darkhold. They never really explain how she got the Darkhold. They still have not explained that. I do not know why they have not explained that. Or I missed something. Let me know in the comments. But pretty much, her son's dead, and she's like, oh my god. So she cuts off a little bit of his hair. And in the locket, that hair in his locket, that's her son's hair. Because that's the only piece of him that she has with her. And she sort of has that... And she sort of has that part... She has a small part of him with him, and then she gives him proper burial. And this random ass girl comes up, irrelevant character. I'm not gonna go too much with it, but she's like, "Hey, I heard your son talking about, this singing this song. There's this folklore about the witch's road that will grant you a wish. Do you know anything about it?" And Agatha's like, "I do." So pretty much, the Ballad of the Witch's Road doesn't. There is no. So there is no Witch's Road that she's aware of, right? So the song shows, she comes up with the song. It is pretty much her ploy to trick gullible witches into coming with her. They'll sing the song, and then they're like, what the fuck? Nothing happened. And she'll be like, oh my god, you guys are bad. The same thing she does in episode 1, where she's like, oh my god, like, y'all are useless. You can't do shit. She gaslights them into blasting her with magic, which then she steals their magic. And they're dead. That's the whole spiel. My thing is, that's how they met. She probably killed her mother and everyone else. Again, they don't elaborate on a lot of things, but again, it's not really that relevant, but when she killed her old coven, I'm guessing Rio showed up, they became lovers. Somehow she got pregnant. And maybe she manifested that with magic, which is why Rio comes and take the child. But anyway, so the road doesn't exist at that time. And she's like, huh? What happened, right? I was confused. Then we cut to modern time. And we see that while she's singing the song, and that was her ploy to kill witches. So they're in the basement, they're singing the song, and she's like, blast me, you witches. I mean, she says bitches, but she's like, blast me. Because that's what she does. She says that, they hit her, they steal her magic. But the thing is, she told Lilia not to blast them. But then at the same time, she says that, and Lilia's like, no, she wants us to blast so she can steal our magic. Funny thing is, somehow the door appeared. So, we cut to... this is also interesting to note. So she goes, touches the ground, and she touches the ground. She's like, this is some sort of dirt, this weird dirt. And down comes Teen, and he's like, oh my god, Agatha, the Salem 7 are here. And they prop open the door, and it's an Axe Road. It is at that point that she knew that he was Wanda Maximoff's son. Because they have shown that he is just as, if not almost as powerful as Wanda. Anyway, we cut to modern time. Teen's in his room, and he's sort of like, oh my god, like, who is this voice? Remember, I said at the end of episode 8, this is eerie voice. It's Ghost Agatha. I don't know if it's ghost or if it's like spiritual projection, we'll talk about that, but it's like this like ghost thing. And Billy has this realization that, did I make the road? And she's like, yeah, the road's not a real thing. It doesn't really give you what you wish for. Until he made it an actual thing. Until he made the road. It's not like Wanda where she altered reality, but she like took over people, right? She sort of changed the molecular structure of things. He deadass made, from nothing, he made the road. He made all of the road. He, like, based off of the song and the things in his room, he made the road himself with his magic unconsciously. Bro, he's mad powerful already. Like, he literally was like, I want to find my brother. And he deadass made an actual road that doesn't actually exist into reality. That's why she was shocked. She's like, what the... That's why during this entire time, when we see that, oh, you haven't walked the road, because there is no road. She made that shit up, which is why she's so shocked at these trials and how specific it is to each witch. Literally, he made all that up. He obviously didn't go and make everything. He made the road into a real manifestation of the road and what it would be with trials and stuff, but then it sort of did its own thing with the trials, such as the witch. So he indirectly lifted the curse off of Alice Wu Gulliver, pretty much. Anywho, then Ghost Agatha shows up and she's like, hey, yeah, you did that. And he's having a panic attack. He's like, oh my god, I killed people. And she's like, listen, kid, I was gonna have them blast me and steal their magic, which, by the way, also, that's a slight inconsistency where I'm like, oh, like, why would you tell them that you steal their magic and then do that? That was a little thing. I was like, what the fuck was that? But other than that, so she's like, listen, kid, you know, I was gonna steal their magic anyways. You actually, in a way, saved one of them because she was gonna kill Jen. She was gonna steal her magic somehow. But it's revealed Jen sort of like she's climbing out of dirt, and then she actually has her magic. He actually lifted indirectly, had her freed, and she just flies away finally after a century of being bound. Which was nice to see. She got a happy ending. Lilia didn't. But then we sort of cut to him running back to his house with Ghost Agatha, and he's on the ground and he's like trying to close the road that he made. He actually made the witch's road. He actually made the road, so he's closing it, obviously. You don't want anybody else to just fall in there and be like, oh my god, and people getting infinite wishes. So as he's doing that, Agatha's like, you have something of mine. And she, for like a momentary second, is able to, like, she's a ghost, so her hands like goes through stuff. She can't touch anything. But it indirectly goes through his hand and whacks it out. And she's like, oh shit, like she can, I guess in a way, she technically died. You know, her soul should have gone, but she tricked Rio somehow with her magic. So I'm guessing she can take a physical form, but not permanently take a physical form. Like, she'll be a ghost, but she can temporarily turn into like a full body, and I'm guessing at some point she'll get a body like she did in the comics and she's young. But anyway, we have white hair, comics accurate Agatha. And he's like, he closes the road. He transcribes in the ground Sharon Davis Alice Wu Gulliver, and Lilia Calderu, the three witches that died. And they're like, yeah, we make a good pair. As I suspected, Agatha is going to be the teacher to, what's his face? The teacher to, Billy Maximoff. So in a really weird, this is a lot of fan theories came right. So, hold up. So, yeah, a lot of fan theories came right. It was true that, he's sort of like an amalgamation of Nicholas and Billy. He is Billy Maximoff. Bill. He's Billy Kaplan because he's William Kaplan's body, Billy Maximoff's soul, combined together, Billy Kaplan. Right? And Agatha, who was a mentor and teacher to Wanda, is now a teacher to Billy because she sort of sees her son in Billy. Their nature is very similar. They're very kind people. And then they make this joke, and she's like, people in my coven usually die. And he's like, well, same here. And so they go off to find Tommy. Now, how does this play into the MCU? It was kind of weird because I was like, I understand the twist was insane, but at the same time, it's like there are a few things that I'm like the finale was a little weak. The finale, it was good, but it was still weak. And that was the same problem that I had with WandaVision, where the lead up was so good. You're like, oh my God, what's happening? What's happening? You're like, oh, yeah, we kind of saw that coming, I wish they somehow explained how they got the Darkhold, how she got the Darkhold, how, how Billy made the road indirectly, how he manifested the road. I wish he had a little bit part of controlling it. Maybe he knew all along. But, the Salem 7 were a real threat that were after Agatha. They really didn't play that up, which was so stupid, honestly, in my opinion. That should have been a thing. Rio collecting bodies made sense. Again, I would give the finale like a 7 out of 10. I think it felt really flat. It felt kind of flat, in my opinion. Like, it had such an amazing build-up, and then it was flat. Because Lilia's episode, I gave it a 7 out of 10. I would honestly give it a 10 out of 10. That was beautiful, masterpiece storytelling. And then this was like, oh, okay. Like, the execution was okay. But anywho, in the end, they go off. Agatha and Billy go to find Tommy. So, again, they have not done Young Avengers yet. So here's how I think it's going to. You know what? I'll make this another video, but I have a hunch.